first, living in Tulum, it was kind of a melting pot of where indigenous leaders from different tribes would come there to have a, because it was a place they could make money, and they had a reputation for being a somewhere they could go and do ceremonies and do private work and bring money back to their tribe. And so first, this well-known Shipibo maestro came to town by the name of Panchin Nima, and he'd been serving ayahuasca for about 30 years at that point. And so my first ceremony with him was the first time I experienced real clairvoyance, where I started seeing spiritual beings without any interference, like my spirit guides, you could call them. I saw them. They showed themselves to me. I felt them. Uh, and this is also where my voice, I just gone through a session with another medicine called Bufo alvarius, and in that session, which was a few days before with the Shipibo work, because Bufo and ayahuasca are complementary in the sense that Bufo kind of opens up space in the chakras beyond the body that are like the eighth and ninth chakras, I believe it's famous for. And when I did that experience, I had this activation of my voice where I went into this deep trance and I was laying on my back, in this state of complete and utter bliss, just melted in this state. And then I saw this explosion of blue light, and then the song came through me, and I was singing. And it wasn't just that I was singing a song in a language I had never heard before. And my voice had suddenly opened up, and I was singing in all these different ranges from very high, quite high, to quite low that I'd never done before. And so when I started sitting with the Shipibo, I was starting to, in the ceremonies, at certain points in the ceremony, he would kind of like let people do their own thing. And so people were asking me to chant for them and stuff in the ceremonies. Uh, and that sort of got me used to the beginning to me getting used to performing in front of people. But I decided to do a private session with Panchine after doing a couple of ayahuasca ceremonies with him. And he invited me to do a diet on a particular plant. And I actually don't remember the name of this plant, but it wasn't going to be a diet in the traditional Shipibo way where you go to the jungle and your whole life is the diet, but rather designed to be more integrative, where you go on living your life and you see how things unfold while the plant is working with you. So my first night, I took the tea that they gave me, and I did the plant bath, and I went to bed. In the middle of the night, I don't know what time, I woke up in the most euphoric state of bliss, and I was singing. I woke myself up singing some song in my sleep. And, so I told the maestro about it in the next ceremony because he was asking me how that was going, what was I experiencing, and I told him about that, and he looks at me and he was like, that is your path. And so I kept going to ceremony, and I kept working with the plant and opening up, and I had just kind of gradual experiences. And then I went through a period of depression for a couple of months after I had been opened up so much and needed more integration. But then I met a new maestro that had worked with the Shipibo, but he was not descended from the Shipibo. He just worked with them for like 20 years. He's a French guy. And after we did some private sessions without medicine, he invited me to sit in an ayahuasca ceremony with him. And he only invited people that he already had been working with and that he understood their energy and what they needed. And this was maybe like my 20th or so ayahuasca ceremony, and because I did a lot that year before. I was I took the ayahuasca and I was sitting there and I was just angry the whole night. Thought I was being scammed. I had all these thoughts running through my head like this isn't right. This isn't how the Shipibo do it. Everything should be more organized and structured and traditional. Like, what is this guy doing? Who does he think he is? And all these thoughts, just pissed. And then right before sunrise, he comes over to me and sits down in front of me. And then he's like, I'm going to, do a chant for you now. So I want you to sit up and breathe, root to crown, and just continue to do that. So I don't know how long he was singing to me. I started feeling a little bit different. And then at the end, when he finished the music, he told me to put my hands out like this, and he was blowing on my fingers. Still felt about the same. And he looks at my hands again, and he's like, I remember him making that sound like, And he kind of zoomed in on something. And then he just went like a very gentle blow. And then I just experienced this earth-shattering blasting open of all my energy all at the same time. And in one moment, all of a sudden I was tasting, hearing, smelling, all the energy around me, seeing, all of my paranormal senses were just opened up. It was shocking, and I started laughing. I just started laughing uncontrollably once again. He kind of looks at me, smiles, and he says, "Life is a game." So after this, he invited me to do a diet on a plant called marosa, which is really all about the heart on all the levels, physical, mental, psychological, spiritual. But I didn't do this diet in a way where I actually took the physical plant. He he implanted the energetic seed of this plant in me in the second night at the ayahuasca ceremony, and from then on, my work with the plant was never physically taking any plant. Uh, he he and I would work through Zoom. So every 2, 3 weeks, we'd meet on Zoom. He'd give me a new chant, and then the next day, I was supposed to listen to that chant every day, and then do like a grounding ritual with a mapacho and tobacco and smoke his tobacco. And so about a month in to that diet, I went for a walk. Started to feel this like warm sensation, like right in the upper middle part of my chest. And then the warm sensation suddenly felt like an expansion, almost like the flowers or the petals on a flower suddenly blooming all at once. And I stepped into this space suddenly where I felt like I was just completely intoxicated with love. Everywhere I looked, I saw the most beautiful combination of colors I had ever seen. It was like in a constantly evolving piece of art that never ceased to be any less beautiful. And wherever I would look and put my attention on, I would fall in love with whatever I looked at. If I saw a tree, I'd fall in love with the tree. If I saw uh, a house, I'd fall in love with the house. Well, it didn't matter. It was so wonderful. And that lasted for a few hours. Uh, that was like a real opening, a real beginning, a real rebirth for me, like energetically.